Welcome to East Meets West. Today, I have a distinct honor to introduce you to our guest speaker here today, and one of Guyana's distinguished youth ambassador, Dr. Astell Collins. And if I butcher his name, please forgive me. He will pronounce it. I usually call him Dr. Collins. So he is the UN Goodwill Ambassador and Global Representative for the Golden Rule International Interfaith Peace Building for the Caribbean states and its territories. Dr. Collins is the CEO of Better Defined One Leadership and was the youngest chairman of the board of directors for Habitat for Humanity Guyana. Dr. Collins was also the youth advisor for PANCAP, coordinating unit for CARICOM, and the special envoy representative to the government of Guyana on behalf of the United States Global Leadership Council. Dr. Collins have a wide, or I should say, a background of serving, and I think that's where I connect with him, with all this work that he did and is doing presently, not only in Guyana, but also in many other countries. He have received many awards for his excellent service. And as I said, there's so many things today I can say about Dr. Collins that I leave it that he can also share some aspect that I may not have covered. But it's a real honor indeed to have you share with us on what leadership is all about for you and your perspective, so that we can learn and that you can add value to us here, all of us that are listening. So guys, do tune in as we listen to Dr. Collins today as he share his nuggets that will benefit you, benefit me. Dr. Collins, welcome.
For having me. Thank you for having me. I'm honored. Thank you. Yes.
Yes, so indeed. And, I do appreciate you're such a busy person. I know I've been chasing you for some time to get you to come and give us a few minutes of your time. So I must let you know how much I appreciate it. And I'm sure many of who will be blessed by your message here today and what you're sharing. Also, they're going to be appreciative of you sharing today. So where do you want to start about leadership? This is a leadership program, and it's all about developing, individually as leaders, and then how we can also transform followers into leaders, according to your tagline too.
Yes, and I got that from my mentor, Dr. Miles Monroe, who said we're transforming followers into leaders and leaders into agents of change. And I believe that, I often would listen or read John Maxwell, but he said leadership is just influence. And there was a conference I attended by my mentor, Dr. Miles, and he said he would qualify that. He believed that leadership is the capacity to influence, or as true inspiration, not manipulation, true inspiration, motivated by a passion, generated by a vision, produced by a conviction, and ignited by purpose. So the belief is that you have to first discover your purpose. And as a result of that, it leads you to manifesting who you really are. So leadership is really a journey of self-discovery. It is not your desire to lead others. I think that's a natural progression of what leadership is. And, it is believed that leadership is not a title. It is not a position, because there's so many who do not have a title, but they are leaders. And there's so many who do not have a position, but they're leaders. However, there are people who have a position and they're just decoration. They're those who have the title, but they're condemned by the title. So I believe that leadership is really the authenticity of you taking that journey of self-discovery to self-mastery, where you identify your talents, abilities, gifts, and strengths, and be of service to humanity. I believe honestly that you would become a generational thief if you don't give to this generation who you are. And I think that there is a destiny that made us necessary. Often in my seminars, I would say, out of 600 million sperm cells, you were not just called, you were chosen. And you ran a race even before you had feet, and you won. That's why the song I'm a Champion is so applicable, because if you progressed, You're not just one in 600 million. You're once in a lifetime. So I believe that understanding who you are and understanding your value helps you to better appreciate the demand that life has placed on you to be of service. So leadership is not just influence, it's your capacity to influence others through inspiration, because you can manipulate people and exert influence over them. You can have a gun to somebody's head and you're exerting influence, but it's not necessarily by inspiration, but you're manipulating them. That's why we have blackmail and all of that. However, yes. But
so I usually say influence can be positive and it can be negative too. Right.
Indeed.
So yes, you are influencing in some way or the other, and that's a choice on your side, how you want to influence someone, whether it's to help them or it is to help yourself. And as you said, many of us can have all these big title and position, but what do we do with it? And you talk about the word servant, and yes, we talk a lot about servant leadership. And some people, however, when they hear the word serve, it feels like it's a low state. I am a leader. I'm supposed to be here. And what are you telling me about serve people? Right. And they get this misconception going on of what really that means. And I've seen your work and, how you're selflessly given to people and to, different societies of wanting to help. And how would you help people understand what that word means without all these other things behind it?
I'm so happy you alluded to that, because if serving is below you, then leadership is beyond you. Simply put, if serving is below you, then leadership is beyond you. And you find that especially in our political landscape, where people believe that because they have a political position, that those who are under their charge are beholden to them. And they behave as if they're lords over those who have submitted willingly sometimes. But I think that if serving is below you, then leadership is beyond, because really leadership is service. You are in a position, or you're given the authority to serve. And that's why we have been plagued by visionless leaders. You see, if you cannot see the ultimate, you become a prisoner to the immediate. And I think that your leadership is actually birthed the day you have discovered the reason for your being, why you are here, what is the essence of your existence. And so I believe that, what's interesting too, it was Frantz Fanon, he was an idealist, who said sometimes people hold a core belief that is very strong. And when they are presented with evidence that work against that belief, the new evidence cannot be accepted. It would create a feeling that is extremely uncomfortable, called cognitive dissonance. And because it is so important to protect that belief, the core belief, they will rationalize, ignore, and even deny anything that doesn't fit with that belief. So you find that if you, especially when it comes to yourself and discovering who you are, if you have a belief that you are not worthy, that's why only a person of value can add value. That's why I say in teaching, you teach what you know, but you reproduce who you are. So you have to become a person of value to add value to your situation, your place of employment, your organization, even your country. So I believe that we have to really take a journey of self-discovery where we can identify our talents, abilities, gifts, and strengths, understand that which separates us. The diamond is more valuable than the pebble because the diamond is rare, but the diamond was once a pebble. It just survived the pressure over time. So it also lends itself to understanding that the power of processing. For example, sugar. You can buy sugar cane, but you can also have a packet of sugar. The packet of sugar lasts longer, and it can be, the value is even higher. But the sugar cane had to allow itself to be processed. The rose petal, if you buy somebody a rose, within a week or two, it disintegrates. But if you crush the petals, you can extract from the petals perfume. Olives, if it's crushed and processed, you get the olive oil. So we are afraid of being processed. And I think we have to understand that being processed not only increases our longevity, but it increases our value. And remembering that only a person of value can add value. So it is, why are we going into the situation? What value am I bringing? And when they lose me, what have they lost? You know, so I'm happy that you alluded early that leadership is really service. And so you don't even have to quantify or qualify servant leader, because a leader is a servant. And I feel that because we have misconstrued the idea or ideology of leadership, that we feel that we aspire for the position or the title, so we don't have to serve. So it's how many people that serve us. And remember that leaders lead others to leadership. You are as effective a leader in your absence. Yeah. You know, how much do they need you? Or do you have to come open the door? You know, so you literally have to work yourself out of necessity. I don't know if that makes sense, but
that makes
if
a
you
lot
are
of
needed, you're not an effective leader. You're supposed to empower those around you, because leadership is really about empowering those. And that's the difference between a leader and a politician. A politician thinks of the next election, a leader thinks of the next generation. A politician thinks of, you know, the position, but a leader's desire is to reposition people, you know. So I think it's a topic that has been spoken of, but I don't think we have understood the gravity and ramifications of what really it is to be a leader, because I think every nation, every organization, every family rises and falls on leadership.
Yep, that's exactly what John Maxwell said. Yeah. Right? Everything rises and falls on leadership. And, you know, if everything that you've just said, you know, so much wisdom is there in it. And what I found is that all these things are out there, the knowledge is there, but do we want to accept it? Do we want to hear it? You know, do we, as you said, do we want to go through that process of becoming refined and becoming, you know, people who will see? I don't know, sometimes I honestly think that maybe, is it me alone understanding that a day is coming, we're going to die and leave this world? And, you know, what matters now? What do you do now in this time that you have? You know, can you see how this is so important? Can you see what impact can you make now with what you have before you leave? And so I think when people think along that line, it's like, okay, you know what, position doesn't matter. Yeah. And what you said about the generation, you know, how do we mold this future? How do you know this future generation? How do we mold them so that when, you know, Dr. Collins and myself is gone, that, you know, our kids, our grandkids, you know, they're continuing this work here of making our world a better place. Yeah. And isn't that what it's all about?
Indeed, you know.
Everything else perishes.
Yes, you know, I often tell my participants that you're a walking treasure chest. You are a walking treasure chest. And that it lends itself to the idea that the richest spot on earth is not the gold mines, it's not the diamond mines, it's not even the oil we just discovered. It is the graveyard, because of the potential that is unrealized, unmanifested. And that's why Plato, I think, said the unmanifested life is the life not worth living.
Yes, I think.
Yeah. So
unexamined life.
Unexamined life. So it's really, you have to take stock, self-analyze, and really make an assessment of, what am I leaving? How will I be remembered? There's a thing like the usual thing with gangs. Why people join gangs? They're asking fundamental questions. Do you see me? Do you hear me? And do I matter? And you find people who are becoming delinquent. They're literally asking questions, but life itself asks you a question. Who are you? Why are you here? And what is the destiny that made you necessary? So those are questions you have to ask yourself. Look yourself in the mirror, look deep into your soul and ask, who am I? Why am I here? And what is the destiny that made me necessary? There's a poem I wrote. There's a book I actually authored, The Voice Within His Voice. And there's one poem that is always requested, which lends itself to this idea. And it is, I sought God and found myself, for I am in him as he is in me. This is neither religion nor theology, but the essence of spirituality. Humanity has lost its way, but he remains the potter as we are the clay. Life has deceived us into making a living when love is all about giving. Time, though infinite, misrepresents the purpose of the fight. We battle for the greater good that is in mankind, not for the place of power, to treat each other unkind. There's a presence that envelopes us with peace, and the same accepts us in spite of that unholy peace. We are lost but loved. We are disconnected yet cared for. He shouted and has whispered, call on me whenever you feel separated from the peace that I am. It is really saying that you're not an insignificant drop in the ocean of humanity. You are an ocean within a drop, because greater is he who's in you than he is in the world. So it goes back to, how do I create that mental shift that I understand that I have a responsibility to my humanity, to my generation, that I am here not just for, for my own gratification, but to serve. If you look at our own national motto, dear land of, or anthem rather, dear land of Guyana, rivers and plains, made rich by the sunshine and lush by the rains, said gem like and fair between mountains and seas, your children salute you, the land of the free, all sons of one mother Guyana the free, one land of six peoples united and free, more worthy our heritage, land of the free. I lived in South Africa, and when I came back, it was Donald Ramotar who was in power, president, and I gave him a book, a copy of a book called The Burden of Freedom. You see, if we believe that freedom is just the ability to do what you want to do when you want to, with whom you want to do, then we will never be free. But freedom is rather responsibility and management, and we have to cultivate and engineer a generation that is responsible, understanding that the greatest asset is time. We're taught everything else except time management. That's the only resource we can't get back up. I can waste 500,000, but if I waste 5 minutes, I can't get it back. So we have to help the next generation to understand and the importance of what they do with time. Whatever you invest, there is a return. So if you waste it, there's nothing to gain. So, a man becomes an engineer because of what he studied, how he used his time. He becomes a doctor, how he used his time. He becomes a mechanic, whatever it is. It's predicated on how he uses his time. So I believe that the time is right for Guyana, and Guyana is poised not only for greatness, but to become not only a microcosm, but a prototype of national unity, of progress, of the spirit of humanity, to embody the spirit of humanity. We are 6 races. That is not something to be taken like weird. In South Africa, when I lived in South Africa, they usually say South Africa is a rainbow nation. But I believe Guyana is the authentic rainbow nation because of the 6 ethnicities or races that are represented here in Guyana. When I was in China, there was somebody from Pakistan who could not believe, because I traveled with an East Indian doctor, and they couldn't believe that me being a man of African descent or being a woman of East Indian descent, they couldn't believe that we were from the same country. So then is when I understand that what we have in Guyana is not necessarily everywhere in the world. So I think we are poised to be a prototype of what is possible in terms of humanity and national unity. Yeah.
And I think, because we have this variety, that truly makes us very special, makes our country special. And I honestly would like to know, or see, I should say, that where we get to learn from each other.
Yeah.
Where we, can value each other. And I when we said John Maxwell, leadership is influence, I do believe that, how can we all influence each other into betterment, and just not, pulling against, but I would not get into all of that, but we're talking about self-leadership here. Yeah. And how do I choose to lead myself? It's always a choice. Indeed. It's a choice where we get to say, this is who I want to be, and this is how I want to show up. This is how, as you said, how would I impact humanity here? And would it be one that is going to be able to lift people up, or is it going to be one that will pull them down? What the words that I and the actions that I take, would it be helpful, to everyone, or is it only beneficial for satisfying me? And there's so many, I would say, introspection that we can go
Mhm.
through and see where we're at. And it's a
Yeah,
choice. I do believe always it's a choice. We can change this. We can be, that example to the world.
yeah.
What beauty looks like of a nation coming together and
You
working
know,
together. And though we're
this
just
is,
few people, that we could do amazing thing. I do
I
believe
know, I
God
really
just
believe
used a
that.
handful of people, and we're just a handful in this country.
No, less than a million is really just a handful indeed. But I remember what Abraham Lincoln said: "The dogmas of the quiet past are inadequate for the stormy present. The occasion is piled high with difficulty, and we as a people must rise not to the occasion but with the occasion. Our case is new, so we must think anew and act anew, and disenthrall ourselves from old patterns. Only then can we save our country." That is what Abraham Lincoln said, and it is applicable today. I really believe that we have an opportunity as Guyanese to be a model citizen to the world. When you look at the crises that exist throughout the world, I think that we have an opportunity here, and because of the newfound wealth, this new dispensation, we have not only an opportunity, but we have to develop the desire to create a new ethos where we are real examples of humanity. While I lived in South Africa, I learned the concept of Ubuntu. Ubuntu is the spirit of humanity. It says, I am because we are. What affects you will also affect me, and what diminishes me will also diminish you. No one man can rise above the condition of the masses. So I believe we as a people have the lion is the leader, but he's not the tallest animal, he's not the strongest, he's not the fastest, he's not the smartest, but he's king because of his attitude. And attitude is a product of your belief. No one can rise above the condition of their attitude or the manifestation or the societal scripting of their attitude. You cannot have an attitude beyond your belief. So it is important what you believe about yourself, collectively and individually. What does it mean to be Guyanese? There was an author who says, I am not African because I was born in Africa. I'm African because Africa was born in me. And I think as Guyanese, we have to come to a space and a place where Guyana is born or birthed within us. So there's a degree of patriotism that you put country above party, country above the economy, country. I think we really need to engineer that type of mentality and mindset so that we have patriots, we have people who are willing to sacrifice convenience. So the people who values its privileges above its principles will soon lose both. There's nothing worse than someone who doesn't understand what he possesses. So I think we don't understand the gem and the value of what it means to be Guyanese, what Guyana really means to the world. And so if what we don't value, we tend to squander. And I think we need to emerge as leaders with the necessary testicular fortitude to do what is required, say what has to be said. Let us be men and have the conversations that are necessary for us to usher in this utopia of a society. And let us stop politicking and let us be responsible and lead this nation to where it needs to be. And I think we need to have really a responsible citizen who is concerned with the affairs of the state and not their party or not their political interest, but someone who is responsible enough to be concerned with where the nation is going and what are we leaving to the next generation.
Yep. I think I was in a meeting sometime last week, and I was telling some people that I was interacting with that, what happens in our country, it's not only the government, or it's every one of us. It's each one of us plays a role in what's gonna happen, what in our society.
Yeah.
We have a part to play. The kids, then we have a part to play in, how they're being brought up, and what is feeding into them. We have a role to play in where all of this is going, and individually, it starts with us to understand that responsibility as a citizen, a responsibility as a father or a mother, a leader, wherever you're working, that you have a responsibility of who you will be and how you can help. So I find that when we blame this person, that person, or whatever, we blame situations too. We even blame ourselves that
Yes.
but when we go through that, how is that helping? And if we
Mhm.
can actually just, as you said, examine, our
Honestly.
life, examine how we can play a part in whatever little way. And I don't, people have this mentality, oh, I need to have enough money, then I can do something. I need to be in this position, then I can do something. And so they label it according to situational, that based on the situation, then only then I can do something. But I want to let people know that you don't have to have a
Yeah.
bunch of money or a position or title to actually be able to influence positivity,
You
to
know,
influence that kind of love and caring for people. You don't need that to be that person.
just a desire. You know, I think we have been imprisoned by our past. It was no less a hero than Nelson Mandela, who says, "As I walk towards the gate that will lead to my freedom, I knew if I didn't leave bitterness and hatred behind, I'd still be in prison." Harriet Tubman says, "I have freed 1,000 slaves. I could have freed 1,000 more if only they knew they were slaves." I think we need, as a nation, to have an awakening of who we are collectively and individually, and so that we can literally become the rising stars of this this great dispensation. I think the world is looking to us for some amount of leadership and guidance and inspiration. And sometimes it's really just for us to be inspirational, just to manifest who we really are. And so I really believe that, I hope that there is a leader that emerges to really cultivate and create the atmosphere necessary for us to manifest our national greatness. And this is not about money. Our greatest resource is our human resource. So I think we need to add the value that is already ascribed to humanity. And just how do we cultivate that? We're spending so much to extract oil from the earth because we value the oil. But how much are we spending on cultivating the natural resource of our citizens? How are we cultivating the ideal Guyanese? you know and I think we have the resources to do it. It's just the mindset and the will.
Yep. I think there's a lot of mindset work needs to be done from north to south and east to west in this country. That a lot of mindset, and having everyone actually who shares, that we can see and hear and learn something new from each other. And it's just about being open. For this entire week, I just keep thinking of the words being open-minded, being open-minded, being open to hear what others have to say, being without any judgment, to just hear, to just see and hear what they're feeling by just listening. And so if I am open enough, I can, be empathetic towards what I'm hearing, and then come up with solutions together. We fight against each other. How is that helping? And that mindset part of it, that, what we've been doing in the past is not helping. How can we change that? How can we move forward into a future with a different mindset, with an open mind to learn from each other, and mind that, wants the same thing, right? And that part of it, the purpose of why we are here, you started off by talking. And when we can understand our purpose of why we were placed on this earth, I think when you figure that out, I think John Maxwell actually said that too. There are two important days in someone's life,
There
and the
you're
day you were
born,
born and the day you
you
found out
discover
why,
why. Mm.
right? And that it's just starts there. If I can know my purpose, because if people don't see there's hope in things, then we just go through life as what, and it just end up where you die and you're gone, and where's your mark? What did you do? What did you accomplish? Who did you help? And I honest, that mindset is something, a lot of work needs to be done, and I'm sure that you're doing a lot on that side of it too, that we can open our people's mind to see that we can work together, that we are one in this here. There is no segregation. There's one where we all want the same thing.
There's
We
one
want a
Guyana.
better world.
There's one Guyana. But it will take courage. It was Dr. Maya who said courage is the most important of all virtues, because without courage, you cannot practice any other virtue consistently. However, the opposite of courage is not fear, but conformity. One of the greatest challenges in life is to be yourself in a world that is trying to make you like everyone else. So, never change your originality for the sake of others. No one can play your role better than you. So be the best, for you are the best, you. And I think we need to really take the journey of self-discovery where we can manifest our best and greatest ideal of ourselves. And only then can we have that level of authenticity and authentic leader. Because if I am pretending, I'll get tired of pretending. That's why it was Terence, who was a slave in 154 BC. He says in Latin, "Homo sum humanum ilmi alien puto," which simply means I am a human being and nothing human can be alien to me. So I think we have to sell the message that you are adequate, you're enough. You don't have to be like a Jamaican. You don't have to be a Trinidadian. You're a Guyanese. You are enough. And, we need to really resurrect the image of what it means to be Guyanese. And so that there was a time we were so proud. We were a proud nation, the breadbasket of the Caribbean. We had the brightest, and we walked with a level of dignity. I pray that there is leadership that ushers that type of dignity and respect back to, being a Guyanese. And I really believe that is possible. And I don't think that one race, one ethnicity, one party, for us to become what we really need to be and ought to be, it will take the collective. I find that we really need, as a people, to find a space, a safe, sacred space, where we all can contribute to the development and upliftment of this, our blessed, beloved, and dear land. And but fear grips us. Some of us are so afraid. We are so afraid. There are people who have the ideas, but they're so afraid to speak of it. It was written about fear. Fear not what fear whispers. Fear your obedience to it. Because fear would always be whispering. I have an image of a rat on a cat, and the rat has a gun to the cat's head. Influence again. And the rat is telling the cat to bark like a dog. Imagine that. So my question was, what is fear demanding of you? What is fear asking you to do that is outside of your natural realm? But fear is probably one of the most crippling factors. But our deepest fear is not that we're inadequate as Guyanese. Our deepest fear is that we're more powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? Your playing small does not serve the world. It doesn't serve this country. Your playing small does not serve the world. Your playing small does not serve the world. And I think we as Guyanese really need to become all that we were created to be. Because when you overcome fear, it's liberating it's in the very overcoming liberates. And people, by seeing you overcome, they believe that they too can overcome. So I think we need to model the level of transformation that is required. That's why you transform followers into leaders and leaders into agents of change. And I think we really need more change agents.
Yep. So I do know there are many people out there that want to see change happen in many areas, and they're doing their part. And I do appreciate them, standing in whatever little way. And that's why I said that it's not about one person. It starts with you as an individual, but then together we can make a difference in this country. Together we can, in our little way, in our organizations, in our homes, in our communities, we can bring that change that we want to see. That's my motto from Mahatma Gandhi: to be the change you wish to see in the world. And that's on my bio. But I do believe that, and I live by that, because I don't want to be the person who tell somebody to do something that I am not willing to do.
Right,
And so
right.
if I want to see something change, what is stopping me from, doing it?
Manifesting that
And
change. Yeah.
I also face lots of people who was negative. Oh, you can't do this, you can't do that. And that there's going to be people like that. And so what you're saying, indeed,
Can't be done until it's done.
know who you are. And
Yes.
I do believe we are all children of God. I don't care where you come from or which home you're born in or whatever you have done. I do believe we are all children of God, and therefore we are all special. We are all unique, but
Yeah.
we're all having something in us that why we're here, so that we can keep adding value to each other.
Oh,
And
yeah.
your strength is not mine. And the things that I can do, you might not be able to do. But if we come
Definitely.
together, how greater can we be?
And, and that's why I challenge the saying that we're all doing our little parts and bits. I think the need to be, even though we're doing our individual bit, it has to come as a collective, so that there's somebody who has to have the ability and the necessity to weave the tapestry of all our efforts, so that Guyana becomes, what it ought to be, what it is beckoning to become. So I really believe that as much as we're doing our bits in our own silos and conclaves, we really need to come together. There have to be a space and a time of coming together, an exodus from the individual effort, so that we have a collective. Because it will take a collective effort to resurrect Guyana from, where we are and
Indeed, it
places
will
where we need to
take,
be.
John Maxwell said that one is too small a number to achieve greatness.
Greatness, exactly. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, you have to go with people.
Yeah.
So it's how do you attract like minds? Because yes, there is negativity. There are people who want to tear us down, but there are many who wants to see Guyana, and not necessarily a party or a particular government or a particular set of people, but they want to see Guyana become and take her rightful place in the world. The spotlight is on Guyana, but how do we use that energy and manifest what we really are capable of? I think that the divine usually says he is disappointed in what we are proud of. We have become so proud of mediocrity that excellence evades us. And excellence is not perfection. It's our ability to do our best, consistently.
Keep
But
striving for improving it.
yes, definitely.
Yep, indeed. Awesome words of advice there. But I think we could go on and talk and talk. There's so many things that you're saying that I can pull out and go deeper with you on it. But indeed, I love the idea that we can create a safe space that we can all share, and all of us, our voice can be heard. Our, whatever we want to share, that it will be heard and it will be valued. I am not saying that every idea all of us have is going to make a difference, but together, how can we, bring it together, dissect it, build it, and whatever that it can work eventually. So it's collectively, yes, we need to come together and build our nation the way we would like it to be. And I know the past is gone. I honestly don't live in the past. I learn from it and I move on. However, many people, I do an AccuMatch. It's a behavioral assessment, and many of my clients, when I see their assessment, their past is so high that they just keep going back to what's in the past, and it's affecting them. They don't see future. And how all of that affects their mindset. So as I said, there's so much I can talk about and share, and I'm sure you have a lot of wisdom also that we can share to help our people's mindset. And so, Dr. Collins, I want to thank you. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your wisdom. And as we look and continue to build our nation in our little way that we can, is to bring peace. I thought of some people actually, when they introduce me, they say, okay, this is peace. And my name means peace.
That's a good introduction though.
Yeah, Shanti means peace. And so
okay, so
I usually tell my husband, look, I am peace and I am peaceful. I come in peace.
Shanti Om, yes, that's indeed. Peace.
So I think honestly, we understand that our purpose and why we are here, and collectively can value each other and, not try to put each other down, but lift each other's up with our words, with our actions, our deeds, to be able to serve one another. I do believe that's our purpose here, is to help each other. And so if everyone could understand maybe my simple little way of putting it, that we are here to serve each other, how can we do it the best that we can before we leave this earth?
That's right.
All right. And so thank you. And is there anything you would like to close off with today?
Don't be pushed by your problems. Be led by your dreams. Govern your life by priorities and not pressures. But what Dr. Carter was, I love to say, a quote from Dr. Carter was, and in closing, he says, if you can control a man's thinking, you don't have to worry about his action. When you determine what a man shall think, you don't have to concern yourself with what he will do. If you make a man feel that he's inferior, you don't have to compel him to accept an inferior status, for he will seek it himself. And if you make a man think that he's justly an outcast, you don't even have to order him to the back door. He will go without being told, and if there's no back door, his very nature will demand one. And I hope that as a nation, we are not any longer denatured, but we understand who we are and rise above the condition of the mental enslavement. Even Bob Marley says, none can fear ourselves but our own man. Liberate yourself from mental slavery. So I think as Guyanese, we are poised for greatness, but we just need to be individually and collectively great. And remember, greatness is not fame nor popularity. Greatness is a matter of service. Exactly. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Collins. Indeed.
Pleasure being here with you.
And guys, what you got out of today, I'm sure it's a lot. Do take note, do listen back, and actually share this video, comment, share your viewpoint, ask Dr. Collins any question too. I'm sure he will respond and give you also his thoughts. This is, as we talk about collective and doing things collectively, it's not about, a manner of doing things where we offend each other, but one of love, one of respect, one of where we professionally do things in a way that for the same purpose, for the same results that we want to see. And so collectively that we come together and learn from each other. But I want to take back from the beginning is that find your purpose, why you're here, and live that purpose. Find people and come together with that same purpose and keep building on it. And you will be great. I know we are made for greatness because my God told me that we were made for greatness. We are made for good works. And that is in us already. Though we might see many other things happening, but there is goodness in every one of us. And that's what I believe. And that's what I will continue to look to everyone as there's greatness in this person. Can we all look to each other in that way? In that love and that belief, there is greatness in that person. So Dr.
Yes.
Collins, you have a wonderful day, and everyone also see you in our next program next week, and do enjoy. Again, do share this video and comment also.
Thank you very much.